believe that accurate disaster risk analytics information is crucial to reducing the impact of disasters and guiding climate adaptation investments. The disaster risk analytics was designed to support client countries, World Bank teams, and other key stakeholders in developing innovative tools, knowledge projects, and data information that can facilitate evidence-based decisions. The analytical and advisory services are organized around 4 pillars. These include GRADE, which is related to the expansion of rapid post-disaster damage assessment work that I will talk about more in detail, but it also includes hazard and exposure modeling of the built environment. A third pillar is the quantification of disaster risk, and finally, the last pillar relates around economics of resilience. When disasters do occur, governments are confronted with many complex and urgent questions. These include where and how are the disasters damage distributed? It also includes questions such as what are the priorities for response and recovery? The compound impact of natural hazards and COVID-19 restrictions have made disaster response increasingly challenging. One solution or answer to these questions is GRADE, which is a remote, test-based post-disaster damage assessment approach. It utilizes disruptive technology, such as sophisticated catastrophe modeling techniques, historical damage data, satellite data, drone footage, and even social media to estimate the direct cost of damage. Traditionally, damage assessments usually take months to complete, are costly, and require teams coordinating efforts on the ground. At a mere 10% of those field-based damage estimations, GRADE can complete a damage assessment within 2 weeks. We also believe, for example, responding to the magnitude 7.2 earthquake in Haiti in August 2021, GRADE estimated the physical damage at $1.1 billion. This was done only 13 days after the earthquake and was accurate to over 90% of the field-based estimate, which incidentally took 114 days to complete. The COVID pandemic has sparked a greater demand for these critical, swift, and remote post-disaster damage estimations, minus the on-the-ground complications. Since 2020 alone, 20 GRADE assessments have been conducted worldwide. After the 2022 Tongan volcanic eruption, the government of Tonga specifically requested a GRADE assessment in line with its contactless aid approach. This was because the government did not want foreign influence to come into Tonga that would create a COVID-19 crisis. Therefore, the damage estimates created by GRADE and then later approved by the Cabinet of Tonga became the official damage assessment, directly informing the government of Tonga's disaster response, recovery plans, financing, and donor coordination. Similarly, the GRADE assessment for multiple cyclones that devastated Madagascar in January and February 2022 directly resulted in mobilizing $250 million of the crisis response window of the IDA resources. The GRADE approach is flexible and agile, adapting its methodology for a conflict scenario. The GRADE assessment for Ukraine directly contributed to the World Bank's approach paper, titled Relief, Recovery, Resilient Reconstruction Supporting Ukraine's Immediate and Medium-Term Economic Needs. This paper was prepared for the Ministerial Roundtable for the support to Ukraine at the IMF World Bank Spring meetings, where President Malpass himself highlighted the GRADE findings of at least $60 billion in physical damages already incurred in Ukraine. And finally, the swift, accurate assessment of GRADE that enables World Bank teams, governments, donors, and partners to determine the level of financial and technical support needed for faster recovery and greater resilience is a key contributing factor to the success of GRADE. Thank you.
Good risk management begins with good access to risk information. This is the first priority area of the Sendai framework and a key strategic objective of GFDR. Traditional risk assessments, however, have tended to be scientific models that are top-down and data-hungry, and often expert-centric. This becomes difficult to replicate at scale. Many of our clients, who are growing very fast and often in an unplanned way, are struggling to manage what they are not measuring. So we seek alternative ways to really scale up access to risk information that is lower cost and lower complexity and can be kept up to date in a timely manner. We see huge opportunities in the new generation of tools in Earth observation from satellites and drones, also combined with image classification techniques derived from artificial intelligence, where we can begin to monitor our changing environment, be it canopy cover and forestry, or rivers and erosion and landslide risk, in an automated, low-cost way at scale. But oftentimes, validating these models and acceptance by local communities depends on having local input, local understanding, and local calibration. The Digital Earth Partnership is therefore truly a partnership where we want to work with institutes like the European Space Agency, who are investing heavily in new suite of sensors and satellites for climate resilience, by bringing them and their resources into collaborative co-creation with local communities, universities, and end users. We see this combination of the human input with the machine learning age and new data sources as an opportunity to derive lower cost and lower complexity risk information at scale for our clients and accelerate climate action. In Sierra Leone, for example, the city of Freetown has planted over 2 million trees to help reduce landslide risk. But to track the progress of these trees and ensure that they still exist, we can use automated tools from satellite. But to trust this model, we really need to calibrate and validate it by having local youth digitize the canopy and track the number of trees, and hence train an AI model suited specifically for Sierra Leone. In Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, the capital, commercial capital, is exposed to flooding. This is driven partly by increased rainfall and runoff and changing climate, but also for increased erosion from western development of the city. An erosion model based on satellite data has been calibrated and updated based on the sediment from students who have collected soil samples across the city. Working with the Resilience Academy, a network of 4 local universities, hundreds of students have been engaged in mass internships and digital campaigns to help improve digital decision support tools for risk management, be it around soil mapping, trash collection, canopy digitization, household surveys. All sorts of data can be made available to support a more effective and more localized risk decision support tool. Not only that, but a new generation of advocates now exists locally to be service providers and to advocate for data-driven decision-making. The Digital Earth Partnership therefore seeks to open up the World Bank's portfolio of users and data creators locally, but to connect them to the global opportunity, to the digital public goods, the models and the data sets that space agencies and technical institutes through our partnerships can provide, and to act as a matchmaker in this way and apply ethical standards and practices to ensure that we advocate for pro-poor opportunities. Thank you.
This data you give to us will be helpful, especially for the production of maps.
We are able to identify the challenges which face the communities.
It reshaped my career. I want to be a GIS expert.